Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer. Welcome back to Farming Simulator 2017, and welcome back to Upton Farm. Late spring, getting ready to finish up our drilling for the year. Let me get a window open. I'll tell you what's going on today here on the farm, and then I'll tell you what's going on in real life too. So you can see our grass is still, we've got one more day till we can mow some grass. I'm really looking forward to that. So we'll get rid of the grass. As far as fields and what we have planted, you know, on the east side of the map, we've got wheat drilled into 31, 32, and 34. Then we came over and put canola in this big field 40 in the middle here. We've got 2 left to go. We have field 9, and we have field 3. Field 9 is more or less just rectangular. Didn't look very interesting, so I'm probably going to do that one off camera. That leaves field 3, and this one's a little bit interesting. So I thought we would do this one and kind of experiment a little bit with the GPS and think about how we would drill this field in real life, being so regularly shaped, not wanting to drive back and forth over the same place many times and have problems with compaction, and also, you know, weird headlands and just kind of an odd shaped field. So I thought this one would be fun. We're going to put canola in here. We're going to drill some canola in. So I brought over the T7 with the Lemken 6-meter drill fertilizer combo, and I've also got the T6 with our service trailer with seeds and fertilizer, and the T6 has the front loader as well. So let's get started. And as we're working here, I'm going to be talking a little bit about what we're doing as far as how me as a fake farmer, as a farm simulator farmer, not a real farmer by any means, but as a fake farmer, how would I approach this field? And if there's any real farmers watching, please do jump in the comments and let me know what you think about my approach here. So basically, if you look down in the lower left-hand corner, you can see field 3 down in the kind of the lower half of the mini-map. So we do have a big section that runs essentially north to south, but then that little bit to the south, to the southwest, is almost at a 45-degree angle. So I'm sort of debating whether we just want to go down and do that little corner manually and then do everything else just north to south on GPS. I don't know. I'm sort of on the fence here how we want to do this, but we'll figure it out. And you know what the man says, ultimately it's just a game. Nobody cares. So we'll have a little fun with it and see what we can figure out down here. All right, this little part down here, I don't know. Just knock it out. Yeah, let's just do that. See. Okay. And we are still on canola. I have a bad habit of forgetting that. 4-wheel drive on. Okay, here we go. Oh, okay. So proceed is on manual. Right, here we go. So what's been going on is this. I am not recording in my apartment. I'm recording in a, well, technically it's a hotel suite. It's really just a great big hotel room. I am on the road. I am the portable gamer, you know that. And I've downloaded a bunch of mods. Sorry, multitasking. I downloaded a bunch of mods for all my sims really. But for Farm Simulator, definitely downloaded some mods, and also got a new controller. I switched from the Logitech wireless gamepad to a, I don't want to do this. I want to drive over where I've just been. Switched over to a Razer Wildcat Tournament Edition, and I'm super pleased with it so far. It's Doesn't have the, I guess, the same sensitivity that I'm used to with the Logitech. Let's see. Let's do this way. I know, I could be doing this in cab. I'm just not that hardcore. It doesn't have the same sensitivity. I guess in a lot of ways it's a lot more sensitive than the Logitech. The travel on the triggers is more, and they have just an amazing feel to them. Really crisp and I guess accurate is a good way to describe it. The actual buttons themselves, like the ABXY buttons and the D-pad, the travel on those buttons is like nothing. They just barely move before they click, so they're really sensitive. I guess they'd be great for, you know, Modern Warfare or Medal of Honor or something. Really, really sensitive. What do you think? I think if we, I'm gonna have to drive over an area that I've seeded. I hate doing that. Okay. All right. So the buttons are in some ways too sensitive, and you know, on Farm Sim there's a lot of compound commands. On the controller, so you hold one of the shoulder bumpers and then press another button. And what I find with this controller is everything is so sensitive that if I don't, you know, you get kind of efficient, you get used to kind of, you know, various key combos, and you do them very, very quickly. Well, what I find is if I do them very, very quickly, like I'm used to, I'll end up just like 1 millisecond early releasing, say, the shoulder bumper, which means that I'm then, instead of pressing a key combo to make one thing happen, now I'm just pressing a regular button with no modifier. So what'll happen is I'll start the engine and then inadvertently jump out of the tractor. Little things like that. So I'm getting used to it, but all in all, I'm pleased with it so far. The Razer Wildcat Tournament, and I got mine on Amazon half off. So I am definitely a bargain hunter, so super pleased about that. Right. So this is what I'm thinking. If we come over here, we are essentially north to south. You see we got a good north-south run. So I think plus a headland, and that would be okay. Let's do it. Yeah, I want to do this stuff accurately. I want to do it properly, but at the same time, like I always say, I don't want to get too hung up on it to the point where I'm not having fun anymore. It's fun to do it right, but to me, it's not fun to get yourself all tied in knots about how accurate your farming is. I want it to be right, but I definitely want it to be fun. All right, so then here. Okay. Trying to think what else is new. Yep, I got a bunch of mods. I got some bag mods. I found a big... From the file size, it looked like... From the file size and the picture on Forbidden Mods, it looked like a lot of seed bags and fertilizer bags and that sort of thing. So I was, you know, pretty stoked about that. But then when I got it and opened it up, it was a collection of a lot of other people's seed and fertilizer bag mods. Always disappointing, but it happens. You know, I think the mod community itself, the people that actually make the mods, I feel like they're pretty legit, but I know there's a lot of pirates out there when it comes to, you know, putting mods up on sites, particularly the sites that aren't Giant's Mod Hub. I think can get a little sticky out there, a little greasy, and I feel like this was, unfortunately, just a, I mean, they all seem like real mods, but there are a lot of bag mods that I've seen other places or have already downloaded, so I had to go in and kind of thin that out because I had some seed bags and fertilizer bags doubled up. So I did that. So I've got a bunch of seed and fertilizer bags, including some handheld ones, which I'm sort of fascinated by, because again, growing up in western Pennsylvania, a lot of small to medium small farms, you don't necessarily load seed and fertilizer on pallets with a front loader. A lot of times you just drive down to the feed store with a pickup and get 50-pound sacks and throw it in the back of the pickup. So I sort of like that idea. Oh, handbrake, we use from Black Panther Modding, and there's been an update. There were some issues with, from what I found, and please, I'm super careful when I talk about mods and conflicts. I would never want to badmouth a mod or sound like I'm badmouthing a mod, like, oh, this mod causes a conflict, or this mod is bad or has a problem, and then it turns out it's just the way I have it installed or the way I'm using it or whatever. So, so when I say this, take it with a grain of salt. This is just my system and my setup, and my mods could be completely different for you. But what I found was the handbrake mod, which is a fantastic mod. That to me it adds a ton of realism to the game, and I love it. But I found that on some tractors and on some equipment, it was draining the air reservoir too quickly. You would just tap the brakes one time, it would drain all the air out and lock the parking brake on. You had to wait till you charged up your air again before you could move, which was frustrating. So I had to deactivate it, and I traced that, I thought, to a combination of handbrake, which itself didn't have the problem, but when you used it with both more realism and seasons, for some reason, all of that put together caused some problems. So I don't know if, because there are always updates to everything, more realistic is always being updated on the GitHub, and then occasionally on the mod hub, and then seasons is updated periodically, etc., etc. You know how all this works. It's that mod lifestyle. So when you put all that together, as each modder is trying to keep their mod tuned up and fixed up and working properly, sometimes you'll get a functionality that was missing, and you can't really be sure where it came from, whether it was because somebody updated this mod or that mod. But all I can tell you is handbrake is working now, and I'm sorry I can't give you like model numbers because there's so many mods. So the combination of handbrake and more realistic and seasons that I have running right now is allowing handbrake to work just perfectly, which I'm happy about because I do like that mod. And it's functional too. It doesn't just make the cool air brake sound when you set the parking brake. When you're using Gearbox mod, oh, that's the other one. So it's a combination of more realistic, seasons, and Gearbox. I think when you have all those running together, handbrake can get kind of overwhelmed. But the combo that I have right now with Gearbox, this is a CVT, and it does have sort of a parking mode, but there's some, because a modder can build their own profile for Gearbox mod and have that sort of come with the mod tractor when you download it. There are, by the way, there we go. There are some combos that have I guess a proper neutral is a good way to say it. And what that means is, if you don't set the handbrake, either in Gearbox or in the handbrake mod, if you don't set the handbrake, as you walk away, the tractor will start to roll down the hill because it's in neutral. So that's a nice, to me, that's a nice realism detail No, I'm not going to do all of these. Yeah, I am. Let's just do them all. Okay. So that's a nice detail. And I do, you know, I'm silly. I'm a big kid at heart, and I do like that handbrake sound. Right. No. Yes. Okay. So now, my most least favorite part of this game, using the front loader. Alright. Not too high. You know, in one of the previous episodes, I was talking about how it would be nice if there was some type of a tool to aim a little better. I'm going to knock everything off if I try to do it from that angle. And just be a good fake farmer. And also not drive over my seeded field. Yeah. I still think I'm going to flip everything off this trailer, but we'll be optimistic. So I was talking about how I was wishing there was a, you know, some type of an aiming device, a way to some type of a you know, a little target or a dot in a circle, or some way to aim the front loader, or I guess more specifically the pallet forks or the bale forks. You know, something to let you know when you're on target, when you're getting to the right place, that sort of thing. And what I thought about later is there are some front loader mods and some telehandler mods that have kind of it's an additional camera view as you're cycling through the cameras. It's an additional camera view that is sort of slave to the pallet forks itself, or whatever implement you have on there. So, as an example, right now, we have, see right there, I didn't hold the button long enough. So right now we have third person, and we have in cab. So essentially this would add a third view that would be slave to the pallet fork, and would give us sort of a more precise view as we're lining up. Where do we want to be here? Right there, okay. So when I say I'm wishing for a dot in a circle or some type of an aiming mechanism, there's sort of one right now. But it's got to be a specific front loader that has that feature. Right. Turn that on. Lower. And here we go. So right after... autosave? Okay. So right after this field, as far as seating, we only have field 9, which is just a big rectangular field, not very interesting, so I will most likely do that one off camera. And then the only thing we have left to do after that, as far as seating, will be the soybean on, what is it, 24, 27, and 28 on the east side of the map. So we've got a minute till we need to do that. And mowing. We're going to start mowing. And for now, with our money being what it is and not wanting to get into a baler, and because we don't have any animals and we don't need bales anyway, I'm going to just put the grass up for silage, which we will then sell for fabulous cash money, dollar bill, yo, and start planning our second season. And that's one of the other things that I really like about the Seasons mod is it literally creates seasons in the game, and you have to, for me anyway, I have to think about my money differently. I have to think about not going broke, taking out a loan. What can we do this year? Time, particularly when you're not teleporting, thinking about time and time management, and knowing if you've got a big map and you end up with your fields on different parts of the map, how are you going to use those, workers, that sort of thing. I think, not complaining, it's just an observation, but I think the wages sometimes in this game are a little bit too low. I feel like if you had, say, 3 or 4 or 5 workers on, maybe not full-time, but on or off during the year, I don't know what a farm worker gets paid. 30,000 pounds a year, 40,000 maybe. If you had 4 of them, let's call it 40,000 pounds a year. If you had 4 of them, that's 160,000 pounds a year coming out of your budget. That's a cost. That's an expense. And I don't know that. I believe when you fire up the game, Seasons asks if you want to pay 1,200 pounds a day. So a 36-day season, that's about 50,000 pounds. My math might be a little bit off. I think it's about 50,000 pounds, which is not 160,000. So I feel like it's almost not too easy. I don't want to say that, but I feel like it's, workers don't cost you what they would cost you in real life relative to equipment and various other things. And I think milk and wool in this game will always pay more than they're worth. I don't know that 200 sheep would give you a couple 100,000 pounds a year, pound sterling per year of wool. I feel like it would be less than that, and I could be wrong, but it just seems like the workers are too cheap, and some of the crops and commodities pay a little bit, for lack of a better word, they just pay too well. They shouldn't make you as much money as they do. The developers have nerfed some of the really obvious kind of glaring financial errors. I think everybody knows silage in FS15. Put up one clamp of silage, and one game day later it's worth £1 million, and that was never. I don't think that was intentional. I think it was just. Right, we don't have any wool right now. I don't think it was intentional, or it might have been. It might have been kind of a way to get the game. When you're starting a career, when you're starting a profile, it was sort of a jump start, maybe. I don't know. Or 40,000 pounds for a single tree. That sort of thing. They've nerfed a lot of that stuff out. But if it was me, if I had input into Seasons, I would say make the workers more expensive and make the crops pay not as well, at least in one mode, maybe in hard mode. And other than that, you can still sort of have those advantages. I don't want to call it a cheat, because it's not. I mean, if the game lets you do it, that's not really a cheat, is it? I don't think so. Right, I think, no, other way. There you go. I think we will probably be able to finish this field with what we have in the drill now, and call it an episode. And then I'll do, like I said, I'll do field, is it 9? Yeah, I'll do field 9 off camera, because it's just not a lot going on there. And then that will probably take us to first day of summer, and we'll have to spray pellet fert on our grass fields one more time. We don't have a sprayer, we've just got a broadcast spreader. So we will get a second layer of fertilizer on our fields, which will take our grass yield up to 160%. Yeah, that's right. 30% buff per layer. We've got one layer on there now. We'll add a second layer. That'll be 160. And then for our second cut of the year, I believe with seasons, one layer always stays on the field, or it takes several cuts to get it down to 0 fertilizer. So essentially, when we do first cut, we'll have 2 layers on there. When we do first cut, we'll have 2 layers on. That cut will take 1 layer away. We'll put a second layer back on. Now we'll have 2. And then we will, when it moves through its next growth stage, we'll add a third. So when we do second cut in the fall, we'll be at 190% yield. I'm also going to take a look. I think animals may be their cheapest in the fall to buy. So if we're going to start buying animals, that would be the time that we would do it. I'm also going to, this is top secret planning phase. I don't want to do this. Yeah, let's go ahead and close my loop. So it's the end of March 2018, and you know all the maps that the big YouTube farm simmers are playing right now, and I don't want to intentionally not do what they're doing. I don't want to do the opposite, kind of as a knee-jerk reaction, but I also don't want to do the maps that everybody's doing just because they're popular. I want to do the maps that I want to do, and I also want to do the maps that I think will offer the best content. Come on, get out of the grass there. Offer the best content as far as, you know, being suited to my style of play and the types of videos that I'm trying to create. That's why I'm on Upton. I really like Upton, but I also think it's a good map for recording. I think it's visually a map that works, and also there's enough going on, particularly when we get animals going, that it'll be fun to watch me farm it. That would be the goal anyway. So I guess what I'm getting at is I'm not always going to be recording maps that maybe a lot of other YouTubers have done, or even that you're familiar with. There are some other maps that I really like that I've never seen anybody do episodes of. They're just not maps that anybody ever got around to doing. And there we go. And one of them that I have in mind, see, I don't want to say this. I've got a favorite type of map, and of course it's British, medium big, big enough to be challenging to farm solo, but not so big that it's just impossible and not fun. Not fun to do, not fun to watch. So I would want any map that I do to be fun for me. If it's not a fun farm to work on, then why do it? And also fun for you to watch. But knowing what my favorite kind of farm is, it got me thinking, well, what are some alternatives? What are some other things that we could do? And what I came up with was, I guess, almost just doing the opposite of everything. So I like British farms. Typically my favorite kind of equipment is, I like New Holland a lot. I like International. I like Massey a lot. And John Deere. I'm running John Deere on my personal, not private, I don't want to say private, yeah, I guess private, come on, my private play of Oakfield. I'm running all John Deere, everything, and I know people like to see John Deere in the YouTubers that I watch, in their comments. It seems like John Deere is the brand that everybody wants to see. So that's kind of a, I don't know where I'm at with that. I mean, I'm running all John Deere right now, and I'd like to mix things up a little bit. So if I did another map, I don't know that I would necessarily want to record with all John Deere, even though that might be what people want to see. So you get what I'm saying. There's a balance between doing whatever you want and also doing something that the people that are watching it are going to enjoy seeing. Right. So what I'm getting at is there are other brands that I never use. Fendt, Deutz-Fahr, and Klaus. I have plenty of that equipment. I just never use it. So what I'm saying is, it's possible that in the very near future we would do a map that I've never seen anybody do videos of using equipment that we don't typically use. So stay tuned for that. Folks, I'm going to go ahead and call it an episode. Field 3 is done. I will do Field 9 off camera, and when we come back, it should be the first day of summer, and we'll be getting ready to spread some fert and do some mowing. Thank you so much for stopping by to check out the channel. Thank you so much for visiting The Portable Gamer, and we will see you next time. Take care.